everybody, how are you? Happy Tuesday. It's Tracing Roots and Telling Tales Tuesdays, Genealogy with Donna, and this is episode 31. I don't have structure today, though I can tell you that using Ancestry and having put in my tree, and I started it 1990, putting in the tree. And I have been looking it over because Jody had started her own tree, and we had been talking about things that we have found both on the Lewis side and the Walton Kate side. There have been some interesting findings because Ancestry has gotten so much more sophisticated, added so many features that it has really been a benefit to go back to the first entries that I've made and see if there are any new hints. So I can tell you on the little side, I have found a picture of Mike's second great-grandfather on his mother's side with a picture. He never knew his name. He did not know. And seeing the picture, the man came from Norway, and so seeing a picture with the family resemblance was just amazing for him. He just thought that was really cool, and I was glad that I was able to do that for him. In addition, it was over the weekend, I found a newspaper article mentioning his father and his uncles. And it was from April of 1920, and it was little snippets. Newspapers, I'm sure you don't know, newspapers used to carry little snippets. Miss Caroline Smith is visiting Miss Clara Bell Washington and spent 3 days together seeing the city sights. The christening of Susan Caldwell was made at the Foursquare Church on Sunday with her parents in attendance. You know, those kinds of things. So this particular one was new students have arrived at District School 126, and they mentioned Wilbur, James, and Curtis Little. It was so cool. I go, Mike, did you know that? And this was in Nebraska. And I said, did you realize that your dad lived in Burton, Nebraska? And he says, yeah. He was born in Missouri, but the family moved. And he was in Nebraska for a while. And I went, oh, cool. Well, here's a newspaper article that verifies and confirms the story that your dad told. That's very cool when you can get documentation and you can get something that is of the time. So that was really cool for me to find. Now, in my side of the family, on the Waltons, I have found a John J. Walton, but I have also found a John Henry Walton. They could be the same person. It could be the J is maybe for the middle name. It could be for a nickname. I don't know until I can verify what the J is. John Henry would not be an unusual name for the time. But I have also found for the John Henry, I have found a photograph, not a photograph. It's a rendering, it's a portrait rendering of this gentleman, probably 1843. Anyway, it's in England, and then I have an older portrait again because, you know, cameras hadn't been invented yet and weren't used profusely except in studios, photography studios. Another rendering of him maybe 20 years later. Maybe this gentleman was in his early 30s, and then he probably was 20 years, 25 years later. So I have to investigate a little bit more, but seeing a picture to be able to remember what the features are of the Waltons and be able to kind of put that side by side with my dad and my grandfather. It was very interesting. And it was close enough that I think the John Henry is probably who it is. But again, I can't just take that, as gospel. I have to continue to research. But again, it's very exciting. It's like finding Mike's second great-grandfather, seeing the family resemblance, and knowing that and that is a picture of him, and having his name, and knowing he came from Norway, and that was, the ship he came on, etc. So that was very exciting. So don't give up on your family tree when you think you've hit a brick wall. You can wait a month or two, see if there's any hints that come up. In my case, it was a lot longer than a month or two. And I have hints, so I have been going through those hints, and there are multitude of hints for each person. Right now, I'm looking at Mike's side of the family. It's an Andrew John Little. He has 12 hints. Now, those hints have to do with copies of birth certificates, copies of resident documentation. In one case, when I was going through Mike's hints, he had hints. It's like, why would he have hints? It was his yearbook picture. I mean, so cool that they load those kind of things and you're able to find it. So that's the advice I have for you today. Go in, load up in Ancestry if you're serious about doing your family tree, and see where it takes you. I would recommend that you go ahead and write your family tree down and then transcribe it onto the software on a laptop, not on a telephone, not on the phone app, and then go from there. And once you've got it all in, then you can go back to the hints and sift through them to find what is correct and what is not correct, because that will happen. And some people will put in their own family trees for them to share. I share mine as a public situation. Unfortunately, some people don't think my information is accurate. So we do have, through that, a way to communicate with one another, to source and let them know how that works. So that's really cool. And we can communicate back and forth with people. I mean, one of the things on the person that put a memorial, and I can't remember what the tombstone was, it's like, who is Sally Anderson? We don't know her. Why has she got a picture of our family? How is that related? Well, remember, you are related by, it's you, it's your parents, it's their parents, siblings, their parents, parents, etc., etc., etc. You could exponentially have your family tree explode with just one set of parents from the next parents up. So your grandparents' parents, your great-grandparents' parents, and so forth. So anyway, that's what I want to leave you with today. You take care. Have a wonderful Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday. And have a great week. And we'll talk next week. Bye-bye.